Hello and welcome to a great Capcom fighter from the 1990s on this week's Battle of the Ports. This is Vampire Hunter, otherwise known as Night Warriors Darkstalkers Revenge, the second in the Vampire or Darkstalkers series of games. Released on March 1995, Vampire Hunter is the typical Capcom upgrade over the original game. Kind of how Street Fighter Championship Edition or Street Fighter Turbo are basically Street Fighter 2 with a few tweaks and more playable characters. The main change in Vampire Hunter is the ability for the player to stock up on their special gauge, allowing them to store more than one special gauge and preserve them throughout the entire match. Two types of super moves are featured in the game: ES specials, requiring a portion of the special gauge, and EX specials, requiring an entire stock of the special gauge to perform. The game also introduces two new playable characters, Donovan Bane and Hisenko. In addition, the two final bosses from the first game, Zil and Pyron, are now playable characters as well. Despite being considered a sequel, Vampire Hunter has the same plot and endings as the previous game, only adding stories and endings to the new characters and the now playable bosses. So yeah, this is basically just an upgrade of the first game. Now, while Vampire Hunter never got a release for the PlayStation, the first game did, and since they are basically the same, why not include it here? This port was not developed by Capcom, but entrusted to Psygnosis, a developer with no record of arcade fighting game conversions. The PlayStation version was initially planned for an April 1995 release, but experienced a protracted development cycle, ultimately not being released until well after the sequel had arrived on the Sega Saturn. Now, I'd never played the PlayStation version, but had always heard it was pretty bad. But, do you know what? It's actually a fairly good port of the arcade game. Yeah, the loading is annoying, the music is CD streamed, and there's a load of missing character animation. Yet, this still turned out quite well. If you've got a PlayStation, you could do a lot worse than this.
Get ready. Fight! Get my legs! Get my legs! Quiet!
Next up is the Saturn port, which first came out in Japan on February 23rd, 1996, just under a year after the arcade release. This was the ultimate home port until emulated versions started arriving on more powerful hardware. The Saturn port, just like the PlayStation, is missing some animation but not as much. It also gave the true arcade screen area for the playfield. However, this will result in characters actually being half of the screen to the left and right. However, you can always play in Saturn screen mode that reduces the play area, so your characters will not be half of the screen. Purists will choose the arcade mode for sure, as the game will play identically to the arcade version then. And let's finish off with the Xbox 360 Vampire Resurrection Collection that features Vampire Hunter and Vampire Savior. This was also on the PlayStation 3. So the first thing I really dislike about this version is that they've gone and removed the openings to both games. Why oh why did they do that? Surely the developers understood that fans of the game would like this to be intact. They kept the end credits, mind you. As for the main game, well, it's emulated, so as to be expected, it is the arcade ROM running on an Xbox 360. The game comes with a variety of extra modes such as a tutorial, training online, versus and so on. It also has an extensive art gallery that you can unlock images on. As for screen modes, well, I'm using the standard mode here with no filters. Of course, you can choose all the standard ugly filters such as smooth, bad scan lines, stretched or even more stretched. But there are a few interesting screen modes such as this mode that actually reflects the image on the side of the screen. It's quite subtle, but it's there. Then there's the retro mode, kinda just like an old arcade machine. And finally, there's this over the shoulder mode that's meant to be as if you're watching a friend play in the arcades. Overall, this is a reasonable port, but I do miss the opening, so I'm going to side with the Saturn in this case. And let's take a look at all those versions of Vampire Hunter running side by side.